I am originally from Kenya and I came to the UK 5 years ago, so I'm an immigrant to the UK.
So I think the best way I can explain what systemic racism is the fact that I have an iPhone and that iPhone has a facial recognition feature, but that feature does not recognize my face. So the problem here is not that people have designed the systems. When you design a system for your features and for the world that you live in, that does not make you evil or malicious or horrible. No, it just creates a system that does not involve everybody. So it's a system that does not fit all. But unfortunately, that's not what is happening in society. In society, there are all these systems which are not built to fit everybody. But then we are always told to fit into it as if we're going to thrive in it, and it doesn't happen. Overt racism is lynching, slavery, and all these things. These are overt acts of racism. But covert racism is a thought process. And it is that thought process that permeates into everything we build, every business we create, every app we build, every service we design, every business that we end up creating, every system that we end up creating. And that's what is actually referred to as systemic racism. So with a lot of overt racism, legislation was put in place to cover it. So a lot of legislation has taken away a lot of the racism that we saw, but what is left is thought, and there's no legislation to, you can't legislate thought, you can't govern people's minds. And for that, but that means then how do you help people, or how do you help people to understand that their thought process is either faulty or is actually creating systems that then become non-inclusive and unjust systems? So a lot of people who use unconscious bias are the people who have opened their eyes and have realized, man, I didn't know I was doing that. I have been having conversations with my friends. They're like, but I am colorblind, and that means I don't see color, and therefore I treat everybody fairly. And I'm like, fair play. I understand where you're coming from. But do you see that if you don't see color, you'll also not see discrimination? But I think what I really wanted to show you is how our thoughts then become actions, and then they become the systems that we create. And so if for example, somebody somehow, if you work in a system that is unjust and non-inclusive, or a discriminating system, let's say for example, the immigration system, it does not make you racist, it does not make you unjust, but understand that you can be a person who is not racist, or who's very just, and actually work in a system that perpetuates racism. So I was looking at what's the lie, or what's the root of racism, and it's the hierarchical lie of race. So where you're told, or something is better, or basically you're told something is better than the other, or not even that. If you're told there are all these other races, and then sooner or later we start comparing, and once we compare, we start having a hierarchy, and as a result, we had Hitler. Anyway, so like I said, so what do unjust systems look like? They look like they have only one standard bearer, and then it's a size that is expected to fit everybody. And also diversity and inclusion becomes just a matter of quarters, and not necessarily changing the system. And if you want to understand why, if our system is non-inclusive, just look at the leadership. Who is thriving in leadership? Okay, so diversity and inclusion in an unjust system is just quarters. And I think a lot of people feel that way, because if a system keeps perpetuating racism, it doesn't matter how many Black people or how many people of different races you employ, it will still be an unjust system. So our social responsibility is that it is up to us. We cannot legislate thought. Bias, blindness, and the thoughts are taught, so it can be unlearned. And also that's why we are welcoming you to uncomfortable and imperfect conversations around our table.